Okay. First question for everybody. Can you hear me? I know you can see me. Can you hear me? Matter of fact, let me put a link out there, buddy. Right now while I'm thinking about it. Put out links all over the place on this.
Can you hear us?
Can you hear us? Please tell me you can hear us. Tell me you can hear. Can everyone hear us? We have sound? We have sound. Do we sound?
Motard can hear us. Can anybody see us? Anybody else hear us? Adam, can you hear me?
Yeah, Adam is a yes. Gypsy, can you hear me?
Yeah.
Okay. Now we're cooking. All right, give me a second here, folks. I'm going to advertise to everybody real fast. Tracy, feel free to kvetz while I'm doing this.
All right, sorry about that. So while I was waiting for the new link, I went over to and just waited on Twitter or X, and I happened to see a little video from CNN of all places, talking about the lovely Anna Kasparian shared that talked about how the messaging that the Democrats were giving around crime was totally false. That they, Republicans would say, or regular people would say, the crime is way up, especially in these major cities. And here's the stats. And then say, no. Crime rate, deadly crime, violent crime has gone down since the 1990s. And so that was the message that Democrats would give. And finally, now, November 14th, 2024, CNN admits that the Democratic numbers were way off, and that violent crime has actually increased since the 1990s, especially since 2014. And I think this has been a huge amount of vindication.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely.
And have you noticed how media is now shifting to the right? The media that's not on the verge of bankruptcy
really
is shifting to the right. Very quickly shifting to the right.
Very quickly shifting to the right. I mean, when ABC is trying to find conservative counter hosts for The View, that ought to tell you everything you need to know.
I vote for Roseanne for that.
I could absolutely vote for Roseanne. I could vote for Roseanne. I could vote for
entertaining, and she knows her shit.
Yeah. Well, why stop there? Why not Ann Coulter?
Yeah. Also entertaining and knows her shit. I mean, I don't agree with everything Ann Coulter has to say, but she's entertaining. Chrissy Mayer would be wonderful.
Chrissy Mayer would be fantastic. Absolutely. God, who else could you put in there?
Carrie Smith, if you're reaching into
Yep, Carrie Smith would be fantastic. Yeah, any number of different conservative Savannah Hernandez. Oh gosh, I mean, there's just a blue slew of them out there.
Oh my God, she is so active on Twitter, and her X account is a gem. Justine Bateman, Jason Bateman's sister, Mallory Keaton. She would be perfect on The View.
Yeah, absolutely.
And she's Hollywood.
Yeah, I mean, it's not like she wouldn't know how this game works.
Mm-hmm.
So, hang on, folks. I'm almost with you. I just got.
Gypsy, hear me out. Hear me out. For press secretary, Lily Tang Williams.
Oh God, that'd be priceless.
I would just love her.
Absolutely priceless.
Now, people with Germans and Chinese, even if they're very, very happy, when they speak, they sound angry. And when she really gets angry, it really sounds good. I would really love to hear her just stand up there and tell them, "You're so stupid. Go back to your $1 million house. You're so stupid."
Oh, that'd be funny.
I would just love her.
That would be funny as all get out. Oh my goodness. Okay.
And I'm so serious. I would love for her, because she's smart, she's intelligent, and she will pull no punches.
Well, if not her, then I think Frank Pellegrino, the husband of Chrissy Mayer, had a wonderful suggestion for press secretary. Michael Malice To which my response to that is, I want to see Michael Malice get the job if for no other reason to look at some reporter and say, "You're a retard." I'd give a lot of money to watch that happen. I don't know about anybody else, but I think it'd be fantastic.
Rotating press secretaries, to have Tucker Carlson, Roseanne, Lily Tang, who I heard Trump's lawyer is in the running, and that would be great too.
Alina Habba has said that she is not interested.
Not interested. Okay.
Think she can better serve. So. All right.
Lily Tang Williams. I tweeted that today. Hopefully somebody saw it.
Absolutely.
And we'll actually consider her because I think she would be great. And I want her to have a real shot at New Hampshire next time, at a New Hampshire congressional district next time, or even Senate for New Hampshire, because I think she would be great.
Well, you're probably right about this, Gypsy. Michael Malice would probably get locked up inside of a week. So, I mean, it's like probably right. But God, what I would
Steve Bannon.
Oh, if you're going to go there, why not go Jack Posobiec?
Jack Posobiec would be great.
Charlie Kirk. I mean, yeah. Peter Navarro.
Candace Williams.
Yeah.
Candace Owens. Excuse me.
That'd be all kinds.
Ben Shapiro would be awesome.
Alex Jones. I'm seeing TBA over on Rumble with that. Yeah, let me say hello to the Wingnuts who have very patiently.
Mike Carlo.
Oh, God. Mike, if you're out there listening to this,
or for the conservative voice on The View, he would be good for either.
Well, yeah, I mean, exactly. I mean, look, give him a chance to go home, see the mom and dad, say hello.
And it would be diverse because, they're all about diversity. Why not bring a gay man on?
Yeah, exactly. A conservative gay man, no less. Oh, why not Brentley? Hell,
Brentley?
Oh, yeah, if we're really going to have some fun with it,
Brentley, who's the wonderful, wonderful gay conservative, also a conspiracy nut. That would send Whoopi into orbit.
Yeah, she'd feel like she was having Norm Macdonald back on again for old time's sake. Too daggone funny. All right, folks. Technical issues, I believe, have been resolved. Let us jump into the merry memes. As I was saying before, the sound goblins got a hold of us. And TBA, WWG1.
Are the Wingnuts there now?
Yeah, the Wingnuts are over on Rumble. My Morning Mayhem is there. Zippy's hanging out over there. Well, Zippy's going back and forth all over the way. Scott Pressler for press secretary. Now, wait a minute. TBA, great. Are you wanting Scott Pressler for the press secretary, or do you want him on The View? That's inquiring minds want to know. I'm just saying. So, we're going to talk. Rhonda, we're going to talk about this. Let's see. Can I? TBA says, well, can I have both? Can I have him as press secretary and have him on The View? Well, if he catches the shuttle from New York down to DC, I guess you can make that happen. I don't know. Oh, goodness. What? Wait. Do what?
Hear What's about this? The what?
U.S. Secret Service arrested for having sex in Michelle Obama's bedroom in Hawaii. Holy cow. No, I have not heard about this.
Is that some weird fetish?
What?
You want to have you want to have sex in Big Mike's bedroom? I'm sorry. I used to love Michelle Obama. I used to love Obama, and I've since grown up. But to look at her like next to an average woman, I can see why people call her Big Mike.
Yeah,
it's weird. It's not just being a tall woman. My wife is 5'10", almost 5'11". I have nothing against nice tall women, but there's something weird about her.
I'm not saying, but I'm just saying.
I'll say it. There's something weird about that woman.
Okay. All right. WWG1 says, and I thought the Lincoln bedroom was quirky. Yeah, exactly. What the hell? Well, going back to this whole question about the press secretary, Chris from My Morning Mayhem says, Alina Habba could be whatever, wherever, as long as she's on camera often, I am good with it. Chris, you ain't getting much argument from me on that one, brother.
That's what I said about Kayleigh McElvaney. She can just wherever.
Yeah.
I wish she would come back, but she's got it made over on Fox. She's
Yeah,
not going anywhere.
exactly. I mean, multi-million-dollar contract, doing her thing, whatever. So, yeah, I get it.
Because I'm sure that job probably pays $100,000 a year, if that.
Oh, now wait a minute. Now,
The press secretary.
No. I've got to read you this comment from Chris. Now, keep in mind, he's from Georgia. And he says, we had a band in my hometown called Big Mike and the Booty Papas. I think of them every time I hear anything about Michelle Obama. I don't know why you'd think that, Chris, but okay. Oh, jeez. Jeez. Oh, my goodness. Too daggone funny. And speaking of funny, before the sound goblins got a hold of my computer.
Adam.
Yeah. Swim. Yeah. True dat. Honey, we all need Jesus.
Hey,
Ain't no doubt.
Jesus gave me that joke. He said it was okay.
Exactly. If you think politics in America is something to behold, oh, kids, let me tell you something. New Zealand, America ain't got nothing on New Zealand, man. I'll tell you what. I got a hold of a clip and I started looking at this thing and I went, you have so got to be kidding me. So, you know what? Because I've seen it, now you have to watch it. And with that, ladies and gentlemen, talk about not getting your way in terms of legislation. Watch what they do down in New Zealand. Wait, is that Cenk Uygur in the background? The guy in the green hat and the lay? Is that
Probably
Cenk?
not.
No, probably
It looks
not.
like him.
Hell, we're gonna say
what
this.
The actual F?
I don't know, but there's about.
Is this
about
some kind of native Aboriginal ceremony or something?
I don't know what the heck they're doing in New Zealand, but there's 20 more seconds of this. Hang on.
The House is suspended.
You think?
Yeah, I know what they're doing. Only because
Lord.
I used to watch The Biggest Loser.
Uh-huh.
Follow my train of thought.
Okay.
There were 4 Tongan contestants on there over 2 years, and they would do a dance like that before like a weigh-in. But they did it right. I mean, it looked authentic when they did it. So that's like a Polynesian island native Aboriginal kind of thing. So I get where they're going with it, but you know what really does not make it look authentic?
What?
Is all these people waspy. I know they're not all white, but they're all waspy-ish people in power suits doing it. Does not make it look authentic at all. It makes it look stupid.
Lord have mercy.
And if I was a Tongan or a native New Zealander or a native Australian, I'd be very insulted.
Yeah, Adam, I think you're right. Hoodoo lady gone the hoodoo on you. Yeah, buddy. Yeah. I would give a lot to watch Mitch McConnell and Chuck Grassley and some of these other dinosaurs try and do those moves on the floor of the United States Senate. I'd give a lot of money to watch that happen. Mm-hmm. I really would. Whoo, Lord. Oh, okay. Hang on. I got to go grab something real quick. Give me a second here, folks.
Yeah, I want to know who caught him and what the reaction was.
Well, I'll tell you what.
Because nothing ever really happened to that guy, the intern, the gay staffer that got caught doing the hanky-panky on Capitol grounds in one of the Capitol rooms. Remember that from like 2023?
I remember. Okay,
Nothing happened to him.
Yeah, I've got the link here for it. So I tell you what, compliments of Miss Gypsy. Let's see what we're looking at here, people. Here we go. Secret Service agent invited lover to Obama's Hawaii mansion, suggested having sex in former First Lady's bedroom in a new book. Okay. Article by Dave Proper, we have the following. A Secret Service agent landed in hot water after he brought a lover to the Obama's beachfront property in Hawaii when he was protecting the ex-president in 2022, the law enforcement officer's former girlfriend claimed in a new book. Undercover Heartbreak, a memoir of trust and trauma. Oh, God, this sounds like a cheesy. Anyway, written by the agent's ex, Courrier Douanier, detailed how the agent broke protocol in an apparent bid to impress his then gal pal by sending her photos of the house and even suggesting a tour of the mansion when the Obamas weren't home, according to ABC News. Quote, no one will know the agent, whose pseudonym in the book is Dale, allegedly told her, if anything, I'm the one who could get in trouble. You think, bonehead? A lovely looking young lady.
Hmm?
That's Miss Courrier Doyen. He then allegedly said he wanted to hook up with Doyen in former First Lady Michelle Obama's bathroom. We should have sex in Michelle's bathroom like a Mile High Club. The book, self-published on October 28th, claimed that he said. A U.S. Secret Service spokesperson told ABC News that an incident similar to what the book described had in fact happened, and the agent was fired following a probe. Quote, on November 6, 2022, a Secret Service agent involved in protective functions brought an individual who did not have authorized access into a protectee's residence without permission, the spokesperson reportedly said. As soon as the Secret Service became aware of this incident, the agent involved was immediately suspended and, after a full investigation, terminated. Although the protectees were not present at the time of the incident, these actions were an unacceptable violation of our protocols, our protectees' trust, and everything we stand for. All right, now wait a minute. I gotta say something here. Now I'm PO'd.
We could
Okay.
easily find out who that was. I bet we could find out if there's a Secret Service agent fired on or around,
Okay.
2022.
This joker gets fired for bringing somebody on site who's not supposed to be there, which fine, I get that. That makes sense.
It's private property and a
It's
former
private
president.
property, and you're there as, to make sure that the protectee is not in any way, shape, or form endangered. However, can somebody point out anyone to me who's been fired because of what happened in Butler, Pennsylvania? I'm sorry. Laying aside the head of the Secret Service who resigned, more or less because she had to, can anybody name for me an agent who anything happened to them?
Nope. Not
This
even local law enforcement was
Yeah,
fired.
not even local law. Yeah, this guy brings his lover on premises. Now, whether they did anything or not, it's kind of, but it's like, what the?
Yeah, a lot of hypocrisy there.
Oh God, yes,
Or
God,
it
yes.
could be, what we've heard. This was 2022. We've heard that the Secret Service is having a hard time recruiting, which is one reason they've had to lower their standards and let in people that are overweight, don't meet the height requirements, don't meet certain speed requirements, to bring in recruits. So it could be that they just, here recently have decided we can't afford to lose anybody.
TBA over on Rumble says a probe. They probed him. I gotta quit drinking before these streams. Now, wait. Get your mind out of the gutter. We're not talking about that kind of a probe, for God's sake. It's this audience. I tell you, there's a reason we call them the wingnuts. Okay. Lord. Yeah, it is like a Harlequin romance, TBA. Good grief. Good grief. Yeah. Thank you for that one, Gypsy. That just
That
burns
made
my
my
root.
night.
Yeah, that's funny. That is funny. Oh goodness. Oh, a few more things by way of the merry memes. You know, there's a lot of people going around right now reminding the Democrat Party that if they had simply listened to, shall we say, old man wisdom, that people like Carville and Axelrod and others were trying to give, the newbies that run the Democrat Party, that the Democrat Party be a whole lot better off. Well, folks, you could make an argument that old man wisdom should have told them 4 years ago what they needed to do, especially when you consider the following. You know, I can't really disagree with Kristen Bell on this one, guys. I really can't. I mean, I think she's absolutely on to something here.
Yep, and you would have had 2 years, 2 months of Trump left with a pretty much deadlocked Congress.
Yep.
But now you've got Trump with a full majority. He has a full majority in Congress, and technically the Supreme Court, if you want to go along the lines of ideology. So Trump's going to be unstoppable in this. I think it was a better deal to have it happen the way it happened, looking back on it. And I will say that many times God works in mysterious ways.
No, I don't disagree with you. I mean, the funny thing about it now is, it's like you said, if the Democrats had not, shall we say, fortified the election in 2020, Trump would be going out of office. They could start memory holing him like they did Reagan in '89. They could, he'd get him off the scene. Yeah, he'd still make a speech somewhere, or, go to a rally, whatever, but it's because Trump. But you could start getting his influence out of American politics. Now, because of everything you did to him for all these years, you have made him near nigh unstoppable.
Yeah. He has fundamentally changed American politics. He's definitely changed the Republican Party forever. And you could say he's also changed the Democratic Party, because the Democratic Party will never be the same after this.
No, I absolutely agree with that. I absolutely agree. Well, the Porch Hounds, never to be outdone and always on the prowl for news and information to bring to you, our valued viewers, have been behind the scenes in certain places around Washington, D.C. to obtain, shall we say, unmentioned conversations. Now, everybody knows what these photo ops in DC are like, in the transition between the election and the inauguration. You have presidents visiting with former presidents, and the outgoing president, sits down with the incoming president. And everybody saw the other day the exchange between Joe Biden and Donald Trump, which frankly, if you had nothing else other than that 2-minute photo op where they're shaking hands and making nicey nice with each other, that 2-minute exchange would have been historic in and of itself. Okay. To me, that's like Gorbachev, Reagan, signing the treaties, in the East Room of the White House, whatever. Okay. Well, then the cameras and the reporters get out of the room. And these guys get down to a very serious conversation. Well, the Porch Hounds, God love them for their industriousness and their inflaggability in terms of their wanting to bring you information. They managed to get a hold of a transcript of some of what was said between Biden and Trump after the reporters got out of the room. And it's just a snippet, but oh, is it juicy. So we thought we'd bring it to you tonight. And with that, here's what they said to each other. Trump, I really appreciate your help with Kamala. Fuck that bitch. Bros before hoes. Everybody knew that Joe was a little bit salty where Kamala was concerned, but really, this kind of language, Mr. President, this is totally out of control. I mean, your thoughts on this, my dear?
Well, this leads into something that I saw today on the Young Turks, believe it or not. Evidently, Nancy, good old Nancy, Pelosi went on one of the Sunday morning talk shows, news shows, and basically spilled the beans that they had wanted Biden to, when they wanted Biden to step down.
Yeah.
Confirmed what our theory was, our wild conspiracy theory was,
Yep.
that they wanted Joe to step down after that first debate.
Yep.
And they would leave them time for an open primary. That Kamala was on the list, but had not been chosen. She was going to be primaried along with some others. But within 30 minutes of them releasing, his resignation from being the candidate, he endorsed Kamala Harris and basically tied their hands, and there she was. So it was basically a middle finger to the Democratic establishment because he wanted to run again. Now, I think for him, he's a narcissist for sure. Definitely does not have the mental capacity to be president. But if it had not shone through like sunlight, like it did in that first debate, we would have been stuck with Joe Biden.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. And it's one of those situations where too smart by a half. That's a lot of times in life, and it doesn't matter if it's politics or something else, you can outsmart yourself by thinking about it too much. Well, this is one of those cases where they had the most brilliant plan, but there's just one thing they didn't count on. Joe Biden having a moment of lucidity and a flash of anger all at the same time. And he's like, all right, you're going to run me out? I'll show you. Endorses Kamala, ties everybody's hands, and then it's like, oh shit, we're stuck with this dumb bitch. It's like, you asked for it, guys. You ran an old
She would
Irishman
not have
out.
been it. She would not have been it. She would not have been it. I think it would have been Josh Shapiro or Gretchen Whitmer. It would have been Gavin Newsom. It would have been somebody else, and Trump might have had a. But even with that, I think the Biden presidency was so bad. I think Trump would have beaten whoever they ran, honestly, including Biden himself.
Yeah,
I think Trump would have beaten them.
Well, and Kamala, in one sense, had the absolute worst problem in the world. I mean, among so many that were her candidacy. But one of the big ones to me was, okay, you've got to run and defend Joe Biden's record, but you've also got to find a way to be a completely new Democrat. If it had been anybody else, they might have been able to thread that needle. The problem was she was the vice president. There's no good way to do that in her case because she was there for everything Joe Biden did. She bragged about being the last person in the room giving him advice on what to do
on every decision.
On every decision. And now you're trying to go out and convince everybody, well, I'm a new Democrat. I'm this, I'm that. Well, 4 years of you being there and you didn't disagree with him once, publicly or privately.
The only one I think that would have had a really good chance that hasn't totally screwed over his state, because all the ones I gave you were governors. We were discussing that backstage.
Yeah.
The only decent candidates that they have, that's a handful of Democratic governors. But the majority of them preside over shithole states that have been destroyed by their very policies. So you would have had Josh Shapiro would have been the only decent candidate they had.
Yeah.
He might have been able to thread that needle a little bit. But Whitmer, Michigan is in the tank. You got Boss Hogg up in Illinois. I can't ever remember his real name.
J.B. Pritzker.
Illinois is in the tank. And look at what happened in California. California shifted so far to the right. It was unbelievable. And they got rid of Moscone in L.A., the district attorney that's been letting everybody out of jail for no bail. They shot down the law that had decriminalized shoplifting under $995 or $950. They even voted down a new minimum wage law for small businesses because they saw what happened with the fast food law. All those businesses closed, people lost their jobs, the prices went sky high. Then up in Alameda County in Oakland, you had them recalling both their mayor and their district attorney because of the high crime rate.
Well, and then on top of that, you had London Breed, the mayor of San Francisco. She lost. The district attorney. Oh, yeah, she lost. The district attorney in San Francisco lost. I mean, California, it's the most quiet story of the 2024 election. California shifted way to the right. Now, granted,
if Newsom had been on the ballot, Newsom would have lost too.
He might have. Gypsy's got a question for you, dear, and it's did you see the Masonic handshake trend today between Biden and Trump? I haven't.
No, I didn't.
I haven't either.
But do I think they're Masons? No. The thing of it is, and those things are fun, don't get me wrong, but everything they say is a Illuminati or a Masonic this or that is normally just the normal way a hand splays when you do certain things with it. Like you could see pictures of me where my hands are laying, like that. You could say, oh, Tracy's in, Tracy, that's an Illuminati thing. So I don't put too much credence in those.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of people see my hand. A lot of people see my hand go like this, and they just get all kinds of signals out of it. I don't know. I don't know why they feel that way, but I mean, Um, anyway, well, the Porch Hounds again have been very, very busy. They also caught a snippet of another conversation, but this one probably has more significance politically, as this was between, shall we say, the representatives of two very powerful factions in American politics. President-elect Donald J. Trump and former President Barack Obama. And this one, again, you can tell there's a lot of saltiness between these guys, because I love the question that is put to Trump, and I love Trump's response to it. I mean,
Trump is going to destroy Obama's legacy. Obama's legacy
much.
is now in the toilet.
Pretty
It will
much.
be tied to this election.
Pretty much. And as a matter of fact, the Porch Hounds managed to find out this little piece of information. Donald, how do you sleep at night knowing how many people hate you? Naked with a supermodel and it's Mr. President to you. That's great. That's just that's what you call Trump being a boss. Right there, baby. Right there. Oh,
but don't you think
goodness.
that's correct, that his legacy is now tied to this election?
I think so, because I mean, Obama's people were staffing her campaign. He was trying to maneuver things behind the scenes. He couldn't do it. I mean,
Biden's administration is going to be one of the worst ever in the history books. He has no legacy. Everything he ever accomplished as a senator is.
Well, as a senator, as a president, as a vice president, I mean, Joe, he might be the 21st century James Buchanan. He really might.
At least Jimmy Carter saved his legacy by being a hell of a diplomat.
He had that, and you had the treaty between you had the Camp David Accords between Israel and Egypt.
And you had his humanitarian stuff.
And his humanitarian stuff after he left the presidency. But yeah, I agree with you. I mean, if these cabinet choices that Trump has got nominated get in, let the party begin, because you will have, and they need to get some good people in behind them, which I think is being worked on right now. But you get these people in nominated into positions that they're nominated for, with some support staff around them. Oh, baby, let the good times roll. Now, don't get me wrong. There's 3 or 4 of them that are like, they're making me very nervous, but that's on the foreign policy side. So with that, now, not everything is salty in Washington, D.C. There are surprises. As a matter of fact, Trump got one the other day that I know he most certainly was not expecting. And you know, a lot of people make about the fact that Donald Trump doesn't use technology very much. I beg to differ, because this clip acquired by the Porch Hounds proves once and for all Donald Trump is not afraid to use things like email and text messaging and what have you to communicate. So, I mean, for example, let's see what happens when the Donald is getting ready to pull up an email here. Check this out. Oh my goodness, ladies and gentlemen, we need to that one bears repeating. I mean, normally nothing phases Donald Trump, but this one, if this popped up on an email, I'd probably have the same reaction as Trump. So here it is again, folks. Whew, that face. Look at that. Look at that. That's just, my Lord. Yeah.
Bill probably had to keep her mouth full a lot of the time to make it bearable. Let's be honest.
Bill had to do a lot of things to make it bearable. Just saying. How long have those two been married anyway?
It's 40 years, something like the 40, 50 years. I mean, it's a long time.
Wow.
But we know he was a philanderer, and she probably had her stuff on the side too.
Yeah, really. Yeah, really. Okay, one more in the way of the merry memes, and we're going to let Tracy open up the first topic of the night. I tell you what, every time you turn around, Donald Trump is absolutely dropping a nomination for a new office, and official Washington is just about to lose their minds. Tracy and I were talking about this backstage, and it's incredible. I mean, and the thing that gets me is, I mean, Rich Barris had probably one of the best descriptions for it. It's like Donald Trump's got a box full of grenades. He's pulling the pins out and just chucking them, for just joy and happiness. Just like, wherever they land and blow up, I don't care. Let's just make everybody dance around. And the reaction that some people are having is downright frightening. I mean, for example, poor old John Bolton. I mean, it's like straight out of The Shining, baby. Here's Maddie. Oh, poor old Bolton, man. He might have a stroke before this whole thing's over with. My goodness. Goodness
You old
me.
liar.
Yeah, really. Y'all liar. So there you go, folks. All right. That is the Merry Meme section of the show. Thank you for your indulgence for me trying to provide some cheap laughs. Cheap but meaningful, kind of like some of my dates. But anyway, with that, we'll hand it over to Tracy, and we'll go into the first topic of the night. Take it, dear.
Well, I really don't have any visual aids for this, but I do want to talk about something. Something that has kind of got dwarfed and swallowed up by all the coverage of the election and then all of the cabinet selections is the Daniel Penny trial, which is going on right now in New York, in Manhattan. And if you haven't tuned in, you should. As a reminder, Daniel Penny is the case that occurred in August of 2023 when a homeless man by the name of Jordan Neely entered a subway train acting very erratic, threatening passengers, and a young former Marine by the name of Daniel Penny put him into a restraint hold, and he's, along with some other people, he was not the only one that did it. And then the person subsequently died, unfortunately, from it. Now, this was a man that had a rap sheet a mile long, but was portrayed by the media as being just a harmless Michael Jackson impersonator that entertained commuters on the subway, but that was not quite the story. Thank you, Brian.
You're welcome.
So right now, Daniel Penny's trial is going on. The prosecution is in the middle of their case. They're going to be calling somewhere around 30 witnesses. And I think what everybody should realize is that I'm going to say it, the only reason this young man is being put on trial is because Alvin Bragg wants it as a political maneuver. He is a young, white, waspy former military. That is the only reason that he is being put on trial for, I think, unintentional manslaughter. And the hijinks first of all, Eric Gonzalez, who was, if you've ever seen the famous video of Jordan Neely on the ground, there are actually two men. There's Daniel Penny, and there is a young Latino man whose name is Eric Gonzalez that was restraining Neely's arms at the same time that he was being restrained around the neck by Penny. And Eric Gonzalez admitted that after he saw that he was on the ground, he was non-responsive, but he was still breathing, he got off the train and he bolted out. He was scared. He bolted out and just basically hit it home. Yeah. He hit it home, and that's Gonzalez there in the cap. He hit it home. When investigators finally tracked him down, he lied to them and told them one story. And now that the DA has offered him immunity, he's telling a very different story on the stand, testifying pretty much for the state against Penny, which I think is just absolutely atrocious. And it's been proven. They found a former Marine sergeant who had trained Penny in the chokehold. But the Marine was very honest in saying that it looked to him like Penny was doing the chokehold, which should only be held for about 4 seconds. It was not meant to kill. It was only meant to knock out. But this is the hypocrisy of this case. It wasn't just Daniel Penny that restrained this man. There was at least 2, possibly 3 others. But yet, who's the only one that's being tried? Daniel Penny, because he's military and because he's waspy and because he's white.
Yeah. Yeah, and Alvin, I mean, of all the problems that are in New York City, Alvin Bragg's going after this poor kid.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, look, everybody on that train freely admitted. And I could pull up
Interviews where they said that they've been assaulted. Everybody that's ever ridden the subway has been assaulted in some way, shape, or form. But they said this was different. All of them said that this was different.
Oh, I know. You get no argument from me on this.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah, this is true too. Small time, absolutely. Yeah, Daniel Penny's being railroaded. There's just no other way of saying it. He tried to do something for the betterment of everybody in that immediate moment. Used what he thought was appropriate amount of force to get this man to calm down, and did not have intent to take him out of this world.
Right.
And it's just the kid's being railroaded.
And it doesn't surprise me because Alvin Bragg literally wants to make self-defense illegal.
Yeah.
In the city of New York. I covered a case from 2 years ago on my channel about a bodega owner. He was a Middle Eastern immigrant, an Arab immigrant, and he actually stabbed and killed. He basically refused a purchase to a young black woman and her daughter. Her EBT card wouldn't work, and so he wouldn't give her daughter the bag of chips. And she threatened him and said, "I'm going to come back with my man." Sure enough, she brought in Tyrone with her. And I know I'm sounding really bad, but that's exactly who she brought in with her. And he basically attacked the bodega owner, and the bodega owner stabbed him to death with a box cutter or a knife he had behind there that he used to open boxes. Alvin Bragg threw that 65-year-old legal immigrant man who was a law-abiding, tax-paying business owner in Rikers Island and held him there until the online outrage got so bad that he was released and the charges were dropped. But had that not happened, that man would have been tried for murder too.
Yeah.
Because he defended himself.
Yeah, absolutely. It just amazing to me that Alvin Bragg, I mean, I don't know when the next election is in New York City or Manhattan, but if I were Andrew Giuliani, and granted, I know he wants to be either mayor or governor of New York, I get it, but they need the Republican Party, which is starting to get they're a long way, but they're starting to get some life to them. They need to find somebody to go nose to nose with Alvin Bragg, because if they pump some money into that race, they could pick him off. Yeah. I mean, look, there was a major, and I mean, I haven't got the numbers up right now, but there was a major shift in New York City to the right, and even in Manhattan. I mean, it's right there. If you, I mean, you let somebody like an Alex DeGrasse run the campaign, whatever. But I mean, having somebody in the Manhattan DA's office, I'm not even worried about them being a Republican. Just give me somebody that's fair-minded.
They could be a moderate independent, a moderate Democrat that just wants to take criminals off the street. Their whole no cash bail, the same as it is in LA, and LA voters repealed that in this last election. Just to catch and release. They arrest you and they release you. No cash bail. That does nothing. That's not a deterrent. And yet they make it illegal for your average citizen to defend themselves.
Oh yeah. Yeah. It is mind-boggling. So yeah, I mean, it could be a moderate Democrat.
A side effect of that.
Yeah. Yeah, and I mean, and they wonder why people don't want to ride on the subways, why they don't want to walk down the streets. I mean, when older citizens of New York City are simply walking along, minding their own business, and somebody comes up behind them and clubs them in the head just for the hell of it, the cops are being assaulted, the citizens are being assaulted, the subways aren't safe, the city is dirty.
You defunded your police, and police took early retirement and quit, and no one wants to be a cop anymore. So now that's the reason they're hiring whoever they can get, and a lot of them are out of shape and unqualified. And
Uh-huh.
I say this as a
Uh-huh.
fat chick. I'm in no way qualified to be a fireman, an EMT, or a police officer. But yet they're
Yeah.
hiring people not much smaller than me to take on these roles that are very unqualified because they can't get anybody because they've demonized the first responders so much.
Yeah, and frankly, there have been jurisdictions around the country realizing that police officers in New York City, LA, major metropolitan areas are like, "Hey, I've got my 20 and I'm done." They're setting up programs where they're like, "Hey, can we recruit these guys down here? I mean,
Yeah.
look, we've got lower cost of living, less regulations. We know you guys know the job." I mean, for example, I've talked with police officers in my hometown. Um, not to get too, local about this, but I mean, because I was thinking the same thing. I was like, we got to look, you got guys with 20 years in New York City. You get them down here, cost of living's cheaper. It's a much friendlier climate for them. And I talked to some local
And the
police
crime's
officers.
not as bad as it is in New York or
Yeah,
LA or
yeah,
Chicago.
you're just dealing with issues of drugs more than anything else in my
Mhm.
area, and I talked to a local officer. And I said, "What do you guys think of that idea?" Like, well, it'd be a great idea. There's just one little problem. I'm like, well, what is it? Um, the West Virginia state law requires they have to go through about 18 to 24 months at the state police academy. And most of these guys don't want to do that. They
I don't
don't,
blame them. They got 20
yeah,
years
yeah,
experience.
yeah, they got 20 years experience. I said, well, isn't there some way we could like change the law? I mean, like, for example, if a situation like the one I'm describing,
Mhm.
where you've got a police officer who is retired from another jurisdiction they had X number of years of service in, which means obviously they
They
know
became a
what
cop
to
at
do.
age 20. They did
Yeah,
20 years. They're
come on.
40, which is
Yeah,
prime age. You recruit
yeah,
them. They should just be able to do like a couple of weeks of a ride along with a veteran
yeah,
cop in that area. Oh, you're trained.
yeah. Or give them an online test,
Yeah.
because the police officer in my hometown made the statement. He's like, "Yeah, we could teach them the paperwork stuff. That's no big deal. It's not that fundamentally different. We just got a few procedures a little different than what the jurisdictions that they would have come out of. We can teach them the procedures, and we could just get some kind of an exemption."
Mhm.
From this rule about them having to go through the state police academy again,
Well,
like
maybe
they
you
did when
send
they
them to the
start.
academy, but it's accelerated. It's
Yeah, on an
6 weeks,
accelerated track.
8 weeks.
Exactly.
It's 6 weeks, 8 weeks. They teach them West Virginia law or Tennessee law or whatever they
Right.
need to know, and then they send them and they train with a veteran officer in that
Yeah,
town for a couple of weeks, and boom.
absolutely. So, yeah, I mean, but going back to New York City, I mean, Bragg could get picked off. There's a bunch of them. I mean, if I were Bragg, Letitia James, Hochul, I'd be very nervous about 2025 and
I'd be moderating
2026.
my I'd be moderating my stance. I might even think about dropping charges against Daniel Penny.
It'd be smart if he did. But I don't.
Mhm.
I honestly think Bragg is such an ideologue. He's not going to do it. Who was it that said that he was a? Yeah, Gypsy brings up a real good point. He's a Soros appointee, you know. And now, but after what I watched happen
Isn't
out in
Soros
California,
dead yet? I mean, last time I saw him, he was a living corpse.
not that I wish a grave on anybody, but this
Yeah.
guy wouldn't mind seeing depart from this world.
I
But
didn't
I
wish
mean,
it on him. I just asked, is he still alive?
yeah, Emperor Palpatine's hooked up to a bunch of transistors and diodes and IVs and what the hell ever. Who knows? They're pumping him full of adrenochrome. But yeah, I mean, if I were all these cats after what I watched happen out in California, if it could happen in California, it could happen in New York City. So yeah, but
It did. It would have had those things been on the ballot.
Mhm. I think Bragg is such an ideologue. I don't think he will. I don't think he's got the good sense to do it because he doesn't feel like he can be touched. And
Yeah.
like I said, if
It's
if
like
ever there,
Letitia James saying that she would continue to pursue
uh
Trump, and pretty much she knows what's going to happen to her.
yeah,
I
oh yeah.
mean, eventually the machine will get her.
Well, I mean, and this is one of those occasions where, again, the Republican Party in New York is, I mean, I'm not going to even begin to understand the machinations that make up, the NY party. But if ever there was a time for them to organize, recruit good, smart candidates, you know, get money behind them and everything else. Now's the time to do it because it's right there. If New Jersey can get within 5 points of going red in a presidential election, and you can see New York City moving to the right as well, there's no reason why you cannot
if
get
Trump
some
and
people
his
out.
administration do the kind of job I think they're capable of doing this term, and you've got somebody like Scott Presler who's already said he will assist a ground
Absolutely.
team in New Jersey and doing
Absolutely.
he's staying in Pennsylvania. He said he bought a house there. Pennsylvania is home. He will hold Pennsylvania. But he's going to train a ground team to go into New Jersey to do the same thing he did in Pennsylvania there. So it can be done. If Trump does a good job this time, I think New Jersey is definitely a swing state next time.
Well, and even though most people, everybody obviously is, paid attention to this election cycle, the Virginia governor's races and the New Jersey governor's race comes up in the fall of 25. And granted, we've all gone through an absolute glut of politics. Not that I'm looking forward necessarily to diving right back into it, but it's coming down the road. So, I mean, if Presler
Isn't
does,
Winifred Sears going to be running for governor in Virginia?
yes, she is. Yes, she is. She is
There's
running
my pick. That's all I have to say.
She's running to replace
Youngkin.
Youngkin in Virginia. So yeah.
What's Youngkin doing? Or is he served to? You're only allowed to serve one term in Virginia.
I'm trying to remember if there's a Senate seat coming up. I want to say no, but I mean, if Mark Warner, the current Democrat incumbent in Virginia, is running for re-election, it wouldn't shock me if Youngkin took him on. It really wouldn't.
I think Winifred Sears has got more than a fair chance.
I agree with you. I absolutely agree with you. So yeah, that's where we be with the Daniel Penny situation. I mean, any other news about that at this point, or
no? Just that the other person that was just as guilty as him by association, by having hands, was offered immunity, and he's already admitted that he lied to police once, but now he's singing a whole different story as he testifies against Daniel Penny.
Oh, jeez. That's a crying shame.
That's all I got to say to you, Mr. Eric Gonzalez. Karma's a bitch. Yeah, I'm not threatening you. Don't take it that way. Karma's a bitch. You lie on him, somebody's going to lie on you, and you're going to get yours.
Yep, absolutely. Absolutely. And this last little comment, and then we'll move to another compartment of the train. Kamala only won Jersey by a little over 5.5 points. Polls had her by 12 to 20. Another. Yep. A lot of people in the polling industry have got a lot to answer for in this election. Not all of them.
The only two that were on was Rasmussen and Atlas Intel. Those were the only, and the ones that Red Eagle Politics did.
Yeah,
those were the only ones that were dead on.
And I'll throw in my boy Rich Barris at Big Data Poll.
Yep.
Trafalgar was pretty good. Insider Advantage wasn't too bad. There's only a handful of them that are really good, and that's usually the bunch.
The Des Moines Register is dead.
And Seltzer's done. She's out. All right, real quick commercial, and we'll move into our next topic of the night. My name is Brian Trippett, and over here is my friend, Miss Tracy Barkley. We together are hosting Chattin on the Porch. This is a thing we do usually about every other Wednesday. Either I'm on her channel or she's on mine, talking about the news. Sometimes we'll do a movie review, whatever happens to hit the brain. So if you like what we're doing, please do both of us a favor and subscribe to our channels. I'm on YouTube and Rumble. She's on YouTube, but we're both also on Twitter. So please follow us on both places. We would genuinely appreciate it. And for tonight's live stream, we ask some simple things. Give a thumbs up, leave a comment in chat, share the link around, subscribe to the channel if you're brand new. We'd love to have your support, not just on my channel, but on Tracy's as well. Okay. Next compartment on the train. Well, what did we say a minute ago? That Donald Trump is basically pulling the pins on the grenades, tossing them around with joy in his heart. And he's like, I don't care where they land. Just let them blow up something. Well, he's doing that not just with his policy ideas, but also with his cabinet picks. And official Washington doesn't quite know what to do with all this. For example, I've got a headline here from Politico. And this was the reaction of some insider inside D.C. Who the F is this guy? Defense World reacts to Trump's surprise Pentagon pick. Hegseth is undoubtedly the least qualified nominee for SecDef in American history, one veterans advocate said. Now, I'm not going to necessarily go through this article, but if you read through this thing, and I will go ahead and drop this in chat if you want to peruse this at some point, but Trump is having all kinds of fun at this point, getting people riled up in D.C. with the picks that he's making. Now, take it one step further. Hegseth was a big shock. What happened the other day when Tulsi Gabbard got director of national intelligence, but then that was enough to cause a heart attack in D.C. It's when he dropped this one is what blew everybody's mind. And this may be the fight of all the fights. Well, at least until this afternoon, but we'll get to that in a minute. It is from Donald Trump's Truth Social. It is my great honor to announce that Congressman Matt Gaetz of Florida is hereby nominated to be the Attorney General of the United States. Matt is deeply gifted and a tenacious attorney trained at the College of William and Mary, where my niece actually graduated from, and has distinguished himself in Congress through his focus on achieving desperately needed reform at the Department of Justice. Few issues in America are more important than ending the partisan weaponization of our justice system. Matt will end weaponized government, protect our borders, dismantle crime organizations, and restore Americans' badly shattered faith and confidence in the Justice Department. On the House Judiciary Committee, which performs oversight of the DOJ, Matt played a key role in defeating the Russia hoax and exposed alarming and systemic government corruption and weaponization. He is a champion for the Constitution and the rule of law. You know, every pick that Donald Trump has made up to this point has been almost like he's taken it up a notch. And then when he got to the Gaetz pick, it's like, okay, F around and find out. Here's where you find out. Nobody, and myself included, had Gaetz on the short list for Attorney General. I would have figured Ken Paxton. I'd heard the name Mark Paoletta. I could have seen somebody like, gosh, who else? I mean, just any number of different conservative.
Hell, even Rudy Giuliani.
Rudy Giuliani,
was, out and out failed.
That would have set everybody's tongues wagging. Jeff Clark, who was Deputy Attorney General in Trump's first administration, was somebody else who was on the short list. Or, Mike Davis of Article 3 Project. But nobody had Gaetz. And
I was shocked. I'm like, what? That's out of left field.
Yeah, I was like, no.
I thought you needed him in Congress,
Well, and see, this is something that's kind of bugging me about
they're picking off all these House people.
Well, some of them are in very safe districts. So, I mean, no Democrat is going to win the Florida Panhandle, not District 1 in Florida. I mean, it would take, some kind of major league seismic earthquake for a Democrat to win Matt Gaetz' district. Okay. Same thing. You can make an argument with Waltz, who is the national security advisor. He's down in Southern Florida. I mean, some of these are coming out of safe districts. On the other hand, you're putting Mike Johnson in a position where, now he's got to defend a bunch of seats if you have to have special elections. I mean, at least Stefanik's seat. Okay. Mm-hmm. That one's going to be a fight for the Republicans just because it's New York State. Okay. So I get that you want people around you that are loyal. I understand that. But why are you taking some of your best, foot soldiers out of the House? That's one of my problems.
When it's all said and done, they're probably going to have 222, 223 seats in the Congress. And I guess what Trump is saying, okay, even if the very worst case scenario, I lose 1 or 2 seats, still got a majority. I'm sure that's why he's gambling like that. And I understand it, because it might be better to have these people in administrative roles where they can really be a foot soldier instead of just, because anybody can vote yes on what you want them to vote yes on.
True. Very true.
In Congress.
Yeah. WWG1 over
Professor.
on. Yes. And by the way, the professor is stopping by Monday night, 7:30. We're going to have a deep dive into some of these cabinet picks, because I have been seeing the professor's commentary on Twitter, and some of them I'm happy. I'll just speak for myself. Some of them I'm happy with. Some of them I'm like, The professor has had quite a bit to say, and I'm going to give him free reign, to come on and talk about it, because some of these picks are like, but we'll get into that Monday. So that's a tease for you guys. Monday night, 7:30, the inestimable Christian Watson stopping by. Oh, and by the way, since I'm on the subject of people who are coming on, I've got a special treat lined up for Tuesday night at 8 p.m. And I don't know if you guys have heard of this young lady, but we have a very special guest coming by Monday night at 8 p.m. Tara Faul, Faul, is a photographer, is photojournalist out of the West. And she does a lot of photography in her hometown, which is Portland. And we're going to be having a discussion about her photographic work, the people that she's meeting on the streets as she covers what's going on in Portland, Oregon. And I've seen her on with the boys from Dangerous Rhetoric. I have been wanting to get her on the channel for the longest time. I reached out to her. She said yes. So this is going to happen Tuesday night, 8 p.m. Eastern, which is 5 o'clock her time out there. So please put it on your calendars. I am really looking forward to having a conversation with this young lady.
And she's really in the dangerous streets of Antifaville in Portland.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. But man, if you follow her Twitter page, her photography is just fantastic. Absolutely fantastic. And she is telling stories with those pictures that mainstream media will never touch. And a lot of people on the conservative side of the aisle will never touch. So I'm definitely looking forward to having a conversation with her about, what got her started, and all that. So yeah, Tuesday night, 8 o'clock. But anyway, so going back to the cabinet picks, let's just say official Washington can't quite figure out, as they say in my neck of the woods, to crap or get off the pot when it comes to this. They don't know what to do. And if you don't believe me, here are some reporters from NBC News. Check this out.
Well, Julie, let's talk about some of the picks that you just ran through. Matt Gaetz, Tulsi Gabbard, Pete Hegseth. Do you think that they are confirmable at this point? What's the buzz on the Hill right now?
Well, I mean, I hope you don't forgive me for saying this, Kristen, but the general vibe on the Hill right now is WTF. People are shocked at the news of Gaetz, especially. I feel like I couldn't even get around to getting reaction on Tulsi Gabbard when this pick of Gaetz came down the pike. Senators, Republican lawmakers, even one of them in a closed door meeting said, oh my God, when they saw the post from Donald Trump. Several senators, I just ran into Lindsey Graham, for example, who kind of brushed me off and said he didn't speak to Trump yet. We'll see, he said, if Gaetz is confirmable, if he's a good pick. Chuck Grassley, who's going to be the top Republican on the Judiciary Committee, working very closely with the next Attorney General. He really didn't have anything to say. He stood there for 30 seconds, just completely baffled when reporters told him about this. Others like Collins, Murkowski, those who are seen to deflect from whatever Trump tries to do, their press handlers basically pushing us aside. And it is because look at who Gaetz is. He's currently under investigation by the House Ethics Committee for some of these personal misgivings that he's been a part of, some of the things that the federal government has investigated him on and later dropped charges on. He is still very much being investigated by that House committee. Bipartisan sentiment across the aisle is they really can't believe that Gaetz is the one who ended up with this top job. And the question of if he's confirmable, well, you talk about all these picks. This really is the biggest test between Senate Republicans and Trump, and a test of their allyship to him, too.
It sure is, Julie. It's well put. Ken.
Okay, I want to talk about this for a minute, and I'm sure Tracy's got a slew of thoughts about this. Okay. Whether one thinks that Trump's pick is, or picks in this case, are the best person for the job, all right, fine, you can have that opinion, but there's one principle above all else that ought to be guiding this. Absent some kind of criminal behavior that is proven during a confirmation hearing, the president is entitled to his cabinet.
Yeah.
Now, let's go back in time for a minute. Donald Trump was dispatched in January 2021. You had people like Merrick Garland, Lloyd Austin, Anthony Blinken, go down the list of any number of these picks. Okay. The Republicans did not give Joe Biden an ounce of fight about this. They may not have liked him, and God knows that camera hound, Lindsey Graham, was in front of every TV camera he could find, telling everybody he wasn't real wild about Joe Biden's cabinet picks. But every man and woman on the Republican side said the president is entitled to his cabinet. Now, 4 years later, Donald Trump starts picking some people that official Washington doesn't necessarily like. And it's the Republicans who are like, well, I don't know. Maybe this guy's confirmable. Maybe he's not. I don't know. Whoa, 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 boys. Hold it. Hold it. Now, don't get me wrong. There are perfectly legitimate reasons why you should not put someone in if you can prove it. Okay? I'm not saying your role in this is just rubber stamp whoever the president puts up there. But by the same token, absent egregious behavior or behavior that is criminal or whatever else may be brought out to light, you may not agree with the president's pick, and that's fine, but the president is entitled to his cabinet. Tracy and I were talking about this backstage. The fight on these cabinet picks is not going to be from the Democrats. You know what they're going to do. I mean, look, let's be honest about it. Some of these people that are being picked for one purpose and one purpose only: to dismantle the deep state in D.C. in whatever area it is that they are being put into the government for. Tulsi Gabbard at DNI, the big one that dropped today, and we'll get to it in a minute. Gates at the Justice Department, except Pete Hegseth at the Pentagon, etc., and so on. Okay. You may not have liked them, but they are the president's cabinet. The fight in this is going to be with old school establishment Republicans who, off the one side of their mouth, are saying, yeah, we support Trump. We want to get his agenda through, yada, yada, yada. And out the other side, well, I don't know about this guy. He's kind of funny. He's got some strange notions. This is where the fight's going to start. And we're going to find out real fast if Donald Trump learned anything about how to deal with recalcitrant Republicans, particularly in the Senate. Tracy?
Okay, I agree with everything you said, but I will throw in a caveat.
Okay.
I think we would all be ignorant to ignore the fact that there's probably been a lot of closed-door conversations.
I'd say you're right.
I don't think that these picks are as much of a surprise to Senate and House Republicans as they probably are to Democrat members of Congress. Okay. So I think there's been a lot of discussion behind closed doors. I think they're all 100% confirmable. Matt Gaetz might be the only one that is iffy, but I really think based on the temperature of the country, they know where the voters stand. Trump has his majority. Thune has promised to support Trump.
Right.
I think they'll all be confirmed. I really do.
Yeah. Well, going to what you said, I've got a tweet here, and again, this is by a young man on Twitter. Where he's getting this information, I don't know, but take it for what it's worth. Richard Blumenthal, Democrat from Connecticut, said, according to him, and again, this is just pure old-fashioned political gossip, Dick Blumenthal of Connecticut is saying there's at least 10 GOP senators who plan to vote against confirming Gaetz as Attorney General. This would not be a good idea for the Republicans. Look, and again, you can think Gaetz is a good choice, a bad choice for AG. That's fine. Believe me, Christian and I are going to get into this, hot and heavy, come Monday night, and Tracy and I will talk about tonight too. But there's a bunch of Republicans coming up for re-election in 26. I mean, just off the top of my head, I had a list of them. I don't have them pulled up. Lindsey Graham is up for re-election out of South Carolina. John Cornyn out of Texas. Tom Tillis out of North Carolina. Susan Collins out of Maine. Bill Cassidy out of Louisiana. Mitch McConnell, although I anticipate him retiring. These are mainline establishment Republicans. They've got a re-election coming up in 2 years. This is not a good time for them to buck Trump on this one?
I think they give him his 4 years.
Okay. Well, we'll see. We'll see what
Gates
happens.
has not been convicted of anything. The charges were dropped.
And as I understand it, when he resigned his seat from Congress, that ethics investigation over in the House is supposed to stay sealed because he's
That's
now a
why he
former
did. And a
member
lot
of
of
the
people,
Congress.
he must be pretty darn confident he's going to get confirmed to resign that seat.
True. Absolutely true. Now, that was yesterday. Now, that's the funny part about it. That was yesterday. Everybody's buzzing about Gates until about 3:30, 4 o'clock this afternoon, when Donald Trump dropped this piece of news on everybody. Not necessarily unexpected, but it's proof that Trump is ready for a fight this time. I am thrilled to announce Robert F. Kennedy Jr. as the United States Secretary of Health and Human Services. For too long, Americans have been crushed by the industrial food complex and drug companies who are engaged in deception, misinformation, and disinformation when it comes to public health. The safety and health of all Americans is the most important role of any administration, and HHS will play a big role in helping to ensure that everybody will be protected from harmful chemicals, pollutants, pesticides, pharmaceutical products, and food additives that have contributed to the overwhelming health crisis in our country. Mr. Kennedy will restore these agencies to the traditions of gold standard scientific research and beacons of transparency to end the chronic health disease epidemic and to make America great and healthy again. Well, as if official Washington didn't have enough to think about between Hegseth, Gates, Gabbard, and others, now you drop the big mamma jamma of RFK Jr. This is going to get real interesting. Really interesting.
Oh, I think he'll get confirmed. I really do. And I think he'll do exactly. And I think the drug companies and the food companies are all crapping their pants. I saw people on Twitter say he's going to ban Mountain Dew. He's going to ban Doritos. No, he's not. He might cut some subsidies, but he's not going to ban them. He's going to force. There are healthier options for all of those products already available that are shipped to South America, Mexico, and Europe because of certain additives and stuff that are illegal there.
Mm-hmm.
You look at the ingredients on ketchup in Europe versus ketchup here. The one in Europe's going to have tomatoes, sugar, vinegar, salt, pretty much it. Yep. Ours is, it's about that many chemicals and additives. So you're going to have healthier versions of those products available. They're going to have to make them with the same high quality ingredients they ship off to other places, which, yes, is going to make them probably a bit more expensive. But if Trump can do what he says and cut energy costs in half, I think it'll all balance out.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And one other announcement, this one came late in the day, but Trump's already starting to make some moves on the Southern District of New York, which is notoriously troublesome, particularly for Republican presidents. Trump put this out on Truth Social. He is announcing that Jay Clayton, the former chairman of the Securities and Exchange Commission during Trump's first term, is nominated for the U.S. Attorney for the Southern District of New York. So Trump's already making a move. It's like, okay, we're not going to go through this same aggravation that I went through the first term. So, and frankly, by the way, before you Democrats who watch this live stream, and y'all know you do, you just don't want to admit it, before y'all start getting your panties in a wad, may I respectfully remind you that when Bill Clinton came into office, he fired every U.S. attorney across this country. Barack Obama did the very same thing. Presidents have the right to fire U.S. attorneys upon arrival into office. And so if Trump's already making moves in this regard, don't get uppity on it.
Yeah. I think it's going to be great. And I'm really anxious to see what he does for his other cabinet picks. He still hasn't done interior. He hasn't done, he did appoint some campaign regulars for some assistant positions. I saw that today. I think that's good. And some people that had worked for him in the Trump organization.
Funny. Go ahead and finish your thought.
But I'm really anxious to see what he does for interior and for education. I know they've been floating DeVos. I don't want him to do DeVos again.
No,
there's too much baggage with her. being the Amway family. She didn't do much for the Department of Education before. I want them to appoint somebody that has a history in education and somebody that's willing to gut it where it needs to be gutted. If not, dissolve the whole thing and fire themselves.
Yeah, or be willing to sunset it at the end of Trump's first term.
Right.
Well, late breaking, and I caught this when I was looking at the New York Post. Trump has named his Secretary for Veterans Affairs. He is going to nominate ex-Georgia Congressman Doug Collins for the post of Secretary of Veterans Affairs. Collins is a good egg. Yeah, is a good egg, and he's a good one. So I got no problem with this pick whatsoever. Yeah. Not at all.
Yeah, the DOE is, in its current iteration, needs to be gone. Absolutely. Education in this country has only gone down the tubes since it was instated in its current form in 1979.
Absolutely. And
it needs to go back to the states. You can still give subsidies to the states. You can still give money to the state, but you don't need to be in charge of curriculum or standards. And that's where we messed up. Each state should be able to set their own standards, their own curriculum. You should be able to hire and fire teachers based on outcomes, not just do they pass a test, a standardized test, but can they read and write and do math on their grade level. That's what they need to be assessed on.
Okay. Well, and the professor's got a word or two about Mr. Collins. Know him personally. He was my congressman for a bit when I lived in Georgia. Very, very nice man. He will do well. Well, if you got the professor's endorsement, that's good enough, baby. And no, do not worry, Gypsy. We will not get uppity with you or anybody else on the electronic front porch. So there you go, dear.
So,
all right. And with that, we're going to, do you want to do the commercial this time? Or you want me to do it?
You go ahead and do it. You're better at it.
Okay. Hi, how are you doing out there in internet land? My name is Brian Trippett, and this lovely young lady right over here is Tracy Barkley. She's got the channel called Gen X Marks the Spot. I've got the channel called the Front Porch Conservative. We are both on social media. We would both love it if you would give us a sub to our respective channels. Also, follow us on Twitter, give a thumbs up on tonight's live stream, a comment in chat, a sharing of the link, all those wonderful things that you guys do to help our channels grow. Greatly appreciate it. And with that, we will hand it over to this lovely young lady who is the flower of Tennessee. Take it, darling.
All right. Just something that's a little bit more, it's both sad and fun at the same time. But talk about what happened today with Alex Jones and InfoWars.
Oh, goodness.
As we all know, it was ordered sold by federal court because of the judgment in the school shooting, the Sandy Hook shooting case, which to me, even though I think, Brian, I think what he said was vile, and I don't think he should say it, but I don't think they had a right to prosecute him like they did, because you can't control, you have free speech, and you cannot control what people do when they hear your voice and they go out and do stuff. If he didn't specifically tell somebody to threaten the Sandy Hook families, and he's not responsible. Do you agree with me on that?
I absolutely agree with you on it. I have, yeah. But what cracked me up I shouldn't say cracked me up. What blew my mind this morning is how the whole deal went down.
It was dirty.
It was extraordinarily dirty.
They didn't put it on public auction. They didn't put it on public bankruptcy auction like they normally do for these types of companies that are supposed to be sold to pay down judgments. They did it as a secret behind the closed doors with the help of the New England Democratic Party and some other backers, along with the Sandy Hook victims. They backed The Onion, the satirical website The Onion, to basically buy InfoWars and turn it into a Onion website.
Yeah, I've got something here from the Post Millennial. Give me 1 second, I'll get this thing pulled up. I mean, this is just, yeah. Alex Jones announces that The Onion has bought InfoWars after a secret auction. Now, folks, I will not say how long I've been around the block, and Tracy is considerably younger than I am. But we both are old enough to know about The Onion. I remember hearing about The Onion in the late 90s and early 2000s. But The Onion has not had any relevance, really, from a cultural standpoint in years. If anything,
they used to be really funny.
Oh, yeah. They used to be the Babylon
Bee. Really
Bee.
funny. But now Babylon Bee has pretty much absorbed all of that. And Babylon Bee is more funny than the Onion ever was.
Yeah, I mean, the quote here is great. "We thought it would be a hilarious joke," said Chief Executive of the Onion's parent company, Ben Collins. Now, when we say that this whole thing went dirty, there's a number of factors involved in this. And I was listening to Alex as much as I could throughout the day to try to get a feel for what happened. So it is ordered because basically InfoWars is owned by Alex Jones per se. The bankruptcy court ordered a private auction as a way to try to, raise the money to pay off the debt that Alex owes to the Sandy Hook families. Okay, fine. So the way that the bankruptcy was supposed to work was everyone submits their bids. They put in a deposit. They put in paperwork, everything else. Now, the auction was to take place Tuesday morning, the 12th. No, I'm sorry. Wednesday morning, the 13th. Tuesday night, Alex gets a phone call from his accountants and his lawyers saying they've changed up the process. Basically, what happened was, and they found this out today, the highest bid did not win this. Okay? The Onion basically got it, and worst of all, they didn't have to put down money on this. Everybody else had to actually put down. Yeah, go ahead.
New, I believe it was either Connecticut or just the New England Democratic Party backed them, and so did the Sandy Hook victims.
Yep.
They purchased it. I believe the number was $3.5 million, which is nothing.
Yeah.
Compared to the revenue that place brought in, and basically, it was just to own the conservatives. That's what they wanted to do, and it was negotiated in such a way that the Onion wanted to own Alex Jones and own his followers. But the joke's on them. They've wasted $3.5 million. First of all, they got to staff it. They got to get people to go and look at it because InfoWars people are not going to stick around for it.
No.
Alex Jones has already moved over to alexjones.network, which has been up and functioning for months now, and all of his members have moved over there. Plus, he's still on Twitter.
Yeah, and I mean, this morning, he got the phone call at about 7:40 Central in his house in Texas, which is about a mile and a half down the road from the studios at InfoWars. He drives over there, and he got on the air. Okay, because I mean, if you know anything about the InfoWars network, they have a rotating. They're practically 24/7. Okay, there was a guy who was going to do his normal 8 o'clock show. Alex sort of like, brother, I need the chair. Yeah. He came on 5 minutes after Alex went on. The feds showed up. But here's the kicker. Alex Jones was advised through his lawyers and through the accountants, hey, look, even if someone buys your company, it will be 45 days before they get to take possession. The Onion and these guys, no, they basically came in the day after the auction was over to shut it down.
Yeah, the website's offline. If you go there, it just says it's temporarily not available.
Yeah, I've got Alex's Twitter from this morning. And if you don't care, Tracy, I know it's your segment, but I'll be happy to play this for everybody.
No, it's both our segments. Good Lord.
Okay, all right.
Ladies and gentlemen, it is 7:50 right now. I'm about to upload this to X. I just got word 15 minutes ago that my lawyers and folks met with the U.S. trustee over our bankruptcy this morning, and they said they're shutting us down even without a court order this morning. The Connecticut Democrats with the Onion newspaper bought us. They asked, did they outbid? They said, well, it was competitive. So they changed all the bidding rules, made it secret 2 days ago. I had a bad feeling. I told you that. And just like they tried to shut us down back in late May without a court order, they're supposed to have a court order. There's going to be injunctions filed. I'm about to go live out of Harrison's American Journal studio. I don't know what's going to happen, but I'm going to be here until they come in here and turn the lights off. I'm going to say, where's your court order? So this is all going down right now. They want to silence the American people, but we're not going to be silenced. Be sure and follow me at the Alex Jones Network at AJN Live on X right now. They're filed in court to take real Alex Jones away. That's totally unconstitutional. The judge already said no, so they filed in other courts. So the live feed going up by the time you see this at AJN Live and at Real Alex Jones right now. Share this everywhere. This is a total attack on free speech. The deep state is completely out of control. The private security hasn't even been told all this yet. They tried to tell them last time the other U.S. trustee to shut us down on the court order. These folks said no. So this is all happening right now. This is the tyranny of the New World Order, desperate to silence the American people. The mandate of Trump against all the lawfare, they don't care. So the system still thinks it's in charge. I'm going live right now from what probably will be the last transmission from this building. God bless you all for your support. Please support our sponsors so we get funds to stay on the air at the Alex Jones Network, thealexjonestore.com. Take action. I need your support. InfoWars is really the detonator for this whole global movement that's happening. Your support did that. You're the reason it's happening. You are the resistance. God bless and good luck.
Yeah, so they're even trying to go after his Twitter account and the new network. Now, I'll have to go back and look at the court filings. Was the judgment against InfoWars or was the judgment against him personally, or both? You're muted.
Like I was saying, no, I do not know the answer to that question.
Because if it was just against InfoWars, they can't touch his other stuff.
Yeah, well, hang on a second. I've got the article here from the Post Millennial. Let me see. Let me go.
Because I bet InfoWars was a corporation, which means it's a legal entity on its own.
Let's see.
So Jones himself would be protected, or even if it's an LLC, he's going to be protected.
Jones said that with InfoWars bankruptcy, quote, they changed all the bidding rules, made it secret 2 days ago. Had a bad feeling. Okay, that's his quote. The Times reported that the bid to purchase InfoWars was sanctioned by the families of the Sandy Hook shooting victims. Jones and his company, Free Speech Systems, were sued for defamation by the families of the victims in the shooting for over $1 billion. After the 2012 shooting, Jones claimed that it was a hoax and that the victims were actors hired as part of a scheme to get more gun control laws in place. He later apologized for the claims and said that the massacre was 100% real in making comments to the jury. Quote, we thought it would be a hilarious joke, said the chief executive of the Onion's parent company, Ben Collins. This is going to be our answer to this no guardrails world where there are no gatekeepers and everything is kind of insane. In September, a judge in Houston ruled that Jones's company could be auctioned off in order to compensate the creditors of Free Speech Systems. Chris Matea, who is a lawyer for the families of the shooting victims, said that the families and the Onion did a public service by divesting Jones of his assets in the company. By the way, folks, just as a side note, and I did hear this evening as I was driving home to get ready for the live stream tonight, Roger Stone put together a group of bidders that were trying to lay down money for the purchase of InfoWars. Apparently, on the basis of what has been done, there's probably going to be a lawsuit over this, because if the bankruptcy court did indeed change their rules at the last moment,
it's illegal.
Yeah, it is illegal, and this thing's going back to court.
Yeah, so it'll be tied up in court. Mainly what they wanted to do was shut him down as quickly as possible, because they knew if somebody like a Roger Stone bought it, it was going to continue. Because it looks like what happened, they did sue Jones and the company. Yeah. But he was smart, and he divested all his interests in the company. Yeah. He's probably just a paid employee now. Yep. Go ahead. But anyway, so he's going to continue. And what I'm saying, they've pretty much played themselves. So like you said, there's going to be lawsuits. This is never going to happen. And then they got to staff this thing. They got to get people to look at it. The Onion's been dead for a long time. Nobody's looking at this website. It's just a bunch of money, flushed down the toilet. Meanwhile, InfoWars is going to go on under another name. And be just as strong as ever, if not stronger.
Well, and that to me, and I give Alex and his people a lot of credit. Alex knew this was coming. Yeah. He game planned for what would happen if this day did, and they
started moving everybody over to the new website.
And not just the website, they have built out. They're just about finished with it. A brand new studio. I mean, he was in temporary studio today. They've just about finished the new one that they've got built, but they had everything ready to roll, that if God forbid, and it did, the feds came in, they shut down the power on the InfoWars studio. Okay. Literally, they're flipping off switches. They're cutting the power feed, everything else. I mean,
Well, it looks like
it
he
was,
did that feed from a phone. You know, he
well,
did that.
that was before he went on the air
Mhm.
at about 8 a.m. his time out there in Texas. But I mean, at noon, which I try to tune into Alex on Twitter whenever I can. But they had a few hiccups starting it up on Alex Jones Live.
Mhm.
But honestly, you give him maybe a couple of days to work out the kinks. Alex is going to be just fine. So yeah, the Onion and the Sandy Hook families, they have bought themselves an empty sack, for lack of a better way of saying
A
it.
dead website. It's not going
Yeah,
to go anywhere.
yeah, yeah. Okay, go ahead and shut down the .com. Go ahead and shut down that particular live stream. Guess what? Alex is already ahead of you. And I'm not saying Alex is perfect. Don't get me wrong. He's here in part
Mhm.
of his own doing. Okay.
Mhm.
On the other hand, I mean, this comment from the guy who runs the Onion, well, we need guardrails against this, wide open, Wild West kind of, free speech with no consequence. That's the point of free speech, buddy. If you don't agree
It's
with what
not controlled. It's not an echo chamber. Uh,
shut,
and
yeah,
that brings us up to what happened with now CNN laying off so many staffers. They're
yeah,
going to cut some high dollar talent, if you call it that. You got people like Chris Wallace jumping ship to go start their own podcast because they see that the future's not in network news. And that brings us up to what MSNBC is going to be on the sale block because
yeah,
Comcast is trying to sell it and some other properties that aren't doing so well. And I'm all the opinion I would love for somebody like Elon or Jack Posobiec or the Daily Wire to buy MSNBC
yeah.
just to, as a big middle finger. But also, why would they? I mean, you bought some cameras, you bought a studio, they're not going to keep any of the talent, so they're going to have to restaff it. And I guess they'll do it with, let's say Daily Wire buys it. They'll staff it with probably Daily Wire people. Maybe they'll do their shows from there. Well, they're not moving to New York. I don't know what they would do. Maybe they could sell off the studio and the equipment and make their money back that way. But what are they going to do with that network? They've got a big network already.
The funny thing about MSNBC, and I remember when it was started in the mid 90s, it was not nearly anything like it is now. I mean, Tucker Carlson at one time was on MSNBC. Monica Crowley.
Cheap. Sink. I call him Sink. Sink from Young Turks. He started out on MSNBC.
Ed. Oh, he passed away a few years ago. Ed Schultz was on MSNBC. There were a bunch of people left, right, and center who were on MSNBC until about maybe the beginning of the 2010s when the
When they
lefties
went crazy.
got a hold of it, when they went nuts. And after that, there was Michael Savage was on MSNBC at one time. Great point, small time. I mean, should a group of conservative investors go in and buy MSNBC? Well, maybe not. But if they did, I could make one argument for why you should.
Maybe you can talk some sense into the people that normally watch MSNBC.
Either that, or now don't get me wrong. If they're going to do this, can you make it financially viable? I mean, look, don't get me wrong. What Elon did in buying Twitter, did he need it to make money? No, he's the richest man in the world, for God's sake. It's not like he needed Twitter to be, financially successful. But to a lot of people, if you're going to make that kind of investment, can you make it financially viable? Are you going to be able to turn a profit?
He knew it was bloated. He laid off 80% of the staff, and it's more profitable now and better run than it's ever been with only 20% of the staff remaining.
Well, but my point is this: if you're going to do it, do it because you think financially you can make it viable. That's the first thing. Okay, I'm sorry, I have never looked at the books on MSNBC, but you cannot tell me that network is viable. If it were, Comcast wouldn't put it on the block. Okay, do it for financial viability, but more importantly, do it to allow for a balanced voice. Okay, I'm not looking for conservative news. I have said this on more than one occasion. I'm not looking for news. I'm looking for news. Tell me what's going on, unfiltered as much as you possibly can, and let me, the consumer, make up my mind about what I think about it.
How about this? Somebody like Daily Wire, Jack Posobiec, drop the hint. He might be looking into getting some investors to buy. You staff it with real journalists and real anchors, and you just report the news. You can have your commentary shows.
Yeah.
This guy's right wing, this guy's left wing, this guy's a moderate. You can have your commentary shows with opinions, but let's drop and have some real reporters and real news that is not slanted to either side, and turn it back into an actual news network.
Yeah, and I mean, you know, where do you recruit the talent to do that? Well, talk to the folks on social media. I mean, would they want to give up the social media empires that they've built? Maybe, maybe not. But if you're looking
at the smaller ones, like if they approach, let's say, me or you, I'm going on MSNBC.
Yeah, if I get certain things guaranteed into a contract, me and my fedora will gladly show up on MSNBC if I get certain guarantees in the contract about editorial control, and a few other
my
things.
Own X profile, control of my own YouTube channel, a salary that I can support my family on, and live in New York because the studio's in New York.
Yeah, you know, so long as I get a guaranteed chopper flight from Jersey over to New York.
It doesn't even have to be in the studio. You could do, you know,
you know, I'm sure people around America would love to see my lovely background that I have here, you know.
They could build little mini studios for everybody.
Exactly. So yeah, I mean, the potential for it is there. I have not a problem with the idea. I mean, like I said, but don't do it just because you want a conservative news network. Do it because it's financially viable, and do it to give news. Not left news, not right news, just news. And let me make up my mind.
Again, you can have, it's 24-hour news. You'll have the 24-hour feeds. You'll have the news breaking in once an hour, every hour, ever how you do it. I think that's how CNN used to do it. The top of the hour, you had the news. And then there were scrolls, and then everything else, we knew it was opinion pieces, or documentaries, or, you can run all kinds of stuff.
Yeah, absolutely.
You're going to have a primetime show that does well. So maybe that's your opinion show.
Absolutely. So, yeah, I mean, this is what they did to Alex was just absolute. But then again, you did something bad to Alex. Alex is going to come out of this bigger, stronger than ever. And, and I got a question, and people have been asking this. At what point do the Sandy Hook families, and maybe they're just doing this purely for ideology, but at what point do the Sandy Hook families look at their attorneys and go, how long have we been paying you guys? We're trying to get something out of Alex Jones, and we keep coming up with an empty sack, and we keep paying you money? When do they start? Because, I mean, honestly, what are the lawyers for the Sandy Hook families doing to the benefit of their clients in all this?
Nothing. I don't have any of those people been paid anything. Because if
they
really bought this for $3.5 million, that's nothing.
Yeah. I mean, it just, there's a lot of bad actors in this whole.
They've been using those Sandy Hook families to push through their gun control measures.
Absolutely.
That's all they're doing. And I feel so bad for those people.
Yeah.
And I'm sure they've made money too. I mean, they have to. I'm sure they get paid to speak and everything else. Yeah. But it's kind of like, what's his face? The Columbine shooters. One of their mothers gets paid to go on, book tours and stuff like that. So I'm sure they've profited in a way.
Yeah.
But still.
Yeah, I agree with you. I mean, up in Connecticut brings up a really good point, because this is her backyard. Even if they were to win $1 million, lawyers are going to get a third of it.
Then they got to pay taxes.
And you got to pay taxes, and then what are you left with?
Here's your $300,000.
Yeah.
Which in Connecticut might be enough to pay off your mortgage.
Or go to Starbucks.
Yeah.
I mean, coffee. I mean, look. Coffee's coffee, but I mean, Connecticut coffee, well,
They're being used by the Democratic Party to push gun control. That's all it is. You heard him say it was Connecticut Democratic Party that helped put together the money.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
To what? By a dead website? And they're just giving it to the Onion. The only one coming out good in this whole situation is the Onion.
Yeah, and as as she points out, used to be a gun manufacturing capital. Now they have one small, very little company. Yeah. Yeah. Crying shame. Crying shame. Absolutely sad. All right. What else you got on this subject, dear?
That's pretty much it. I mean, that feeds into what you were talking about, echo chambers, and how our idea of free speech and liberal ideas of free speech are very, very different. I
Yeah.
love the Wild Wild West over on Twitter. I love that
Yeah.
you can say anything over there. I love that you can say anything on Rumble. I love that. I don't like everything that I hear, but I love it. What?
Wait a minute. Midmo, if you've got a link on this, either tag Tracy or tag myself, because
Yeah,
I don't mind coming back to this, but I want to see if what kind of updated information
we'll
Alex
correct
got.
ourselves.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's been reported that it was the Onion, but if it turns out it was somebody else, I'd kind of like to see this.
Right. But
Exactly.
along those lines, have you noticed the great flood of people leaving Twitter for some unknown social media thing called Blue Sky?
Funny you should mention that because, yeah, one of my absolutely favorite actresses in the whole world.
I do like Jamie Lee. I think her
I
politics are crap.
love me some Jamie Lee Curtis. Love her to death. Don't agree one bit with her politics, but love that woman. She is a great actress. And by the way, smoking hot. I don't care how old she is. I'm
I know.
sorry.
I agree.
Yeah. Oh,
But if you go over to Blue Sky, what's really funny, I see all these liberals, including friends of mine that are just small time people like me, saying, I'm going over to Blue Sky. I'm sick of all the hate over here on Twitter. I'm like, no, you're sick of free speech. You want to live in an echo chamber. Twitter used to be an echo chamber for the left, and now it's not. I think it's pretty balanced. You see what you engage with. So I see mostly right wing and moderate stuff, but it's all over. But they're all leaving to go to an echo chamber because that's what Blue Sky is. Have you seen it?
Yeah, I've got it pulled up right here.
Okay, cool.
I mean, I have not signed up for this.
You can actually see the feed without joining, which is pretty cool.
Yeah.
But they ripped off Twitter. I mean, it's a butterfly instead of a
bird.
But I have actually gone into the website and looked, and it's just all left-wing opinions. That's all it is. That's all I can see is left-wing. So it's an echo chamber. They have left a free speech platform to go into an echo chamber. And remember, they did this with Threads, too. They tried to leave Facebook. They tried to leave Twitter and go over to Threads. I mean, Facebook owns Threads, but they tried to go over to Threads about 2 years ago and do the same thing. It didn't take off. Truth Social didn't really take off. What was that other one that was on the right that was around for a while? I can't remember it, but
Gab,
and there was another one.
Parler.
None of that took off. Threads didn't take off, and you know what? Blue Sky is not going to take off. In 6 months, they'll be right back to. Why did Elon buy Twitter and make it into X? Because he knew it was established. He knew it was the place to be. Your social media choices are X/Twitter, YouTube, Rumble, TikTok. That's about it.
Okay.
And that's where they'll end up back on Twitter because this Blue Sky is going to fade away because no one else is going over there. All these celebrities are running over there, and they're just going to be, whatever they do over there, posting out to each other. That's boring.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Well, and this gets to something else, and I see. I'm looking at Alex's live feed right now. I'm going to put this up on screen real fast. I'm not necessarily going to jip into his broadcast, but apparently, according to Alex, and I'll let you guys take a look at this at your leisure. According to Alex, InfoWars was not sold to the Onion. Says he's breaking it down now. Watch and share the link below. Okay. Tell you what I'm going to do. I will drop this in chat on both sides. And folks, check this out at your convenience. But yeah, it looks like it wasn't, according to Alex, looks like it wasn't sold to the Onion, at least according to Alex's reporting. And Lord knows he ought to know. So,
yeah,
Oh my! There are 2.4 million people watching that thing right now.
Wow.
That's insane. That is just
They
straight
haven't
up
gotten rid
insane.
of 2.4 million people on Twitter watching Alex Jones. Do they not
Two-
realize what a media? We are the media now, just like Elon said.
2.4 million views, and it's
Mhm.
live. So, yeah, it's crazy. Yeah, we're all trying to figure this out. This is nuts. I agree with you, Midmo. This is crazy.
I
But
guess that's the new studio. That's a beautiful
well,
map behind him.
well, it's the temporary. It's the
Right.
temporary until they get the one they're working on finished. But I want to go back to something else, talking about these celebrities. It's not just Jamie Lee Curtis, and there will probably be more before it's all over with. You've got Joy Reid. She's deactivated her Twitter account. You've got Jamie Lee. You've got Don Lemon.
No one cares
Well, but see, here's my thought on the whole matter.
about Don Lemon or
Well,
Joy
yeah,
Reid.
well, true. But my point is this: laying aside Don Lemon and Joyless Reid, okay, you guys on the left keep saying you want to try to understand folks on the right. Okay, you keep saying you're all about open-mindedness and tolerance and everything else, but you will not engage with us in a conversation. Now, I will give Don Lemon this. He did some man on the street reporting during the conventions and leading up to the election. He got more shocks to his system than I think he was prepared for when he actually got out and talked to voters. But at least he was willing to do that. Look, folks on the left can like Twitter, dislike Twitter, they can whatever. That's fine. That's your right to do it. But it is now become what Elon Musk envisioned that it would be, and maybe back to what it was when it was first created, the town square. Let people come to the center of the town square and talk to each other and debate and everything else. Now, is it a lot more leaning to the right now than maybe it was before? Well, yeah, but you could also make an argument it's more balanced now than it was before.
It is the town square. They're going off into a room in this blue sky place to talk amongst themselves, like we did with Gab, like we did with Parler. It doesn't work. You've got to come back and have conversations with everybody.
Yeah, I mean, and I say this, I mean, for folks on the left who might watch this live stream, and again, y'all know y'all do, you just don't want to admit it, but engage with us. Look, are we going to get mad at some of the things you say? Probably. Are you going to get mad at some of the stuff we say? Probably. But don't pick up your marbles and go off and play a different game. Stay in the game.
Yeah, and engage and discuss.
Yeah.
Don't yell. Don't talk over me. Don't scream. Just scream racism and sexism. I've tried to have some conversations with some friends of mine that are hard on the left, and they do what I like to call bulldozing. They don't let you get a word in edgewise. No. They just scream, and if you say one thing, they go ha ha ha, whatever.
Yeah, exactly.
Very smug, and they don't want to hear anything. They just like to talk over you or send you walls of text, and then not look at a thing that you reply back and send you another wall of text. They talk at you. They don't talk to you. And that is the main problem with leftists today.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. And when someone like a Donald Trump wins a presidential election,
they're flabbergasted. They have no clue.
They're like, I don't understand. I thought
everybody was on the left.
Yeah, well, not even that. How can a convicted felon, a man who's just got a mouth like a sewer, the morals of an alley cat, how can this man possibly be elected president of the United States? Mm-hmm. It's just, laying aside the fact they're listening to some really bad polling, which is the fault of the polling industry in general, by the way. But, they just, and we've discussed it. You've discussed it. A whole bunch of people have discussed it. It's a hive mind mentality. They don't want to listen to anybody else. That's why I get the biggest kick out of watching somebody like a Scott Jennings blow up CNN in one of those panel discussions he'll get into every so often. And it is just absolutely hysterical.
Yeah. And what Jessica down there says, Forest Mommy. Yeah, but at the state and local levels, they love to let convicted criminals out of jail to just do whatever they do. No cash bail. Just let them go. So what problem do you really have with Trump being a felon?
Yeah. Oh yeah, absolutely. And it's just, but to go back to the general discussion of the town square, at one time you lefties owned Twitter vis-a-vis Jack Dorsey. At one time y'all were just flat out, censoring people, straight up censoring them.
Oh yeah, you said anything that was not in line with their narrative, you got you got pushed down, pushed off, kicked off.
Or you had whole branches of the federal government working in conjunction with departments inside Twitter to out and out remove posts, silence people, throttle their reach. I mean, just the stuff you're saying, so at one time you guys had like lock control of Twitter, and all Elon Musk did was say, no, we're going to level this up and everybody can have their say. And,
which means that being in the middle or slightly to the right is much more common in our country.
Yeah.
Than what they do.
Yep. Absolutely. But now, because people are having a say, information is flowing, etc., some folks, not all, some folks on the left are just like, I can't handle this right-wing propaganda. Wait a minute.
These are just
with us
talking. This is just normies talking.
Yeah.
I've invited so many on the left onto my show. They won't come.
Oh, hang on. We got some more late breaking on this. The sale is blocked. Oh, they've got, I'm guessing they've got an injunction.
I bet you Roger Stone took care of that shit.
Well, I'd say there were several people, from what I understand, filing injunctions with the court in Texas. Okay. What is she converting to? I don't know about all that. Is she going from Satanism to something else? I don't know. Yeah, okay.
Satanism.
Oh, I was just joking. He said, is AOC converting? I said, well, is she converting from Satanism to something else? Or, I mean, what? Okay, we've got a tweet
right
on
now.
This.
Mainstream media still has it as being sold to the Onion, but they probably don't know the scoop yet.
Okay, well, hang on a minute. This, you know what? I am going to put this up here because, I mean, since we've been talking about this tonight, this run, if you don't care, if this runs a little bit long, but you know what? Since this is probably about as straight from the horse's mouth as you can get, I'm willing to play this. And don't get me wrong. I mean, yeah, give me a second here, folks, and I will pop this up. This is Alex Jones, and we got some late breaking on this thing. Hang on a second, and we'll get this started right now.
So here we are in the InfoWars studios on November 14th, 2024. It is 6:19. And I've just been down the road at the Alex Jones Network studios that were built as backups. And this is the facility we've been in for 16 years. Now, I have major breaking news for everyone. The headlines you see everywhere that the Onion bought InfoWars today is not true. The judge had an emergency hearing today that we filed for at 8 a.m. this morning. It went on for several hours. He was extremely upset, the federal judge, Chris Lopez, and said, this is not a real auction. You don't claim there's a public auction where people can bid up and have them register for it, and then 2 days before change it and say the bids are secret and we don't have to take the highest one. Then he asked the U.S. trustee that ran this, what was the winning bid? He said, well, I can't tell you.
Okay, I'm going to interject at this point. Had I been the judge, I'd have thrown this trustee straight into a slammer.
He would have been under the jail.
Yeah.
He'd have been under the jail along with the, I would have probably gone after the lead head of the Democratic Party of Connecticut as well, and probably the CEO of the Onion too.
Yeah, absolutely.
Implicit in it.
Yeah, absolutely. That's ridiculous. When a federal judge is asking you, give me the amount of the winning bid, and you're like, well, I can't tell you that. Son, you don't get to decide what you can and cannot tell a federal judge when he's forthright asking you as an officer of the court to another officer of the court, I'm asking you what's the winning bid. So with that, back to Alex.
Did you hear what I just said? Not only did they not take the highest bid, they won't even say what was paid, but they said, well, it's Alex Jones's judgment. That's like toilet paper. $1.5 billion fake dollars that doesn't exist? You're gonna get $1 billion out of this piece of paper? So you can't pledge, that's federal law in bankruptcy, a debt towards something, and especially because doubly, they didn't tell the other bidders that they were going to allow credit to be used to buy it. That's what they're calling it. It's credit in the future, pie in the sky on my future earnings. So they bought my company in a rigged fake auction that didn't even happen with my money that doesn't exist. So the judge says he hasn't set the date yet, next Monday or Tuesday. He said early next week, I take that as Monday or Tuesday, to have an evidentiary hearing on this. My lawyers and the real bidders' lawyers, who are very prestigious, said they've never heard of something like this. Walter Sisak, the lawyer for the folks that tried to buy InfoWars that were good guys, is recognized as the toughest bankruptcy lawyer in Texas. He's known as the Bulldog. He's a no bullshitter. He said he's never seen anything like this. Well, I told them get ready for that. And they didn't really believe me. And they saw it. So Monday afternoon, 2 days before the auction, they said, forget all your bids that had to be in by November 8th. Forget all that. Forget the contracts you signed, the deposit you put down, the rules you signed. That's out the window. There's a secret bid. You just give us an envelope with your bid, and we'll tell you who the winner is. And by the way, we'll take one that's lower if we want. And the U.S. trustee said he had the authority to do that, just like the last federal trustee that the feds send into these cases if they want, said he could shut this place down in, remember, late May? And then 2 weeks later, the judge had a hearing and fired them, saying you have the authority to do that. The judge said to Chris Murray today, where did you think you had authority to do this? You weren't given the authority to do this. So they've closed the building, cut off the satellite uplinks to radio and TV stations to something they didn't buy. Through bravado, they ordered the IT people to shut down Infowars.com. We've been hijacked. So I told you they tried this in late May. People didn't believe it was so crazy. When they came and said, leave the building with security, I told the security, where's the order? Where's the court order? I guess we're not going to do it. And then 2 weeks later in court, the judge, it all came out and be like, well, that was true, Alex said. Well, you're damn right it was. Now you see them bragging, they shut us down everywhere. But here I am in this building with the equipment and the rest of it. So what we're supposed to sit here with the crew and everybody, I guess, wait for the judge's hearing. That's fine. And they said in the hearing, we don't want them back in the building, Your Honor. They'll try to get the equipment. But from our studio that we've got good buyers that are going to win the real bid, that we're ready to go up, if somebody would have beat what they were doing, in a real auction, going once, going twice, numbers go up. And the judge kept saying, an auction is where people can bid. So, look on the screen right there. The Onion buys Alex Jones's InfoWars at auction to help from Sandy Hook families. No. The Onion is just the fake owner. They didn't do anything. The families pledged their award that's on appeal. You can't sell an award that's on appeal. That's like if I said I was going to buy a house with Confederate notes from the Civil War. They're worthless. Or Zimbabwean notes. Or Weimar Republic notes. And they would not tell the judge, even though the U.S. trustee has told the news and told me this morning that it was future money of mine that doesn't exist, pie in the sky, that was going to buy this company.
Okay, I'll just stop it right there because I think we got the gist of this. This judge come early next week is going to rip these guys a new one over this. And I would not be shocked if this trustee, the second one now involved in this process, if this trustee goes out on his ass.
Yeah, my cat is screaming about it too. You can hear
Right.
it. But
yeah,
they can fuck all the way off. what they're doing, they're trying to screw Alex. They're trying to screw the Sandy Hook victims because they pledged whatever they might win, which is on appeal, which will probably never be paid out because the studio is probably not worth the network's not worth $1 billion. Let's face it.
Yeah,
it's worth several million, probably, maybe, multi-millions, but not that. So they're basically screwing everybody just to take down the website and get him offline. And so now it looks like he's back in the studio. He'll be able to broadcast from the studio. And I bet what's going to happen, whoever's going to buy it's probably going to be, evidently knows the people that are going to buy it.
Mm-hmm.
They're going to buy it and they're going to pay him a salary and keep him on air.
Exactly. And he'll just go
probably
right on down the road.
Yep. And nothing's going to change.
Yeah. I took the liberty of dropping the link to Alex's 10-minute video on both sides on Twitter, on YouTube and on Rumble. So if you guys want to watch, don't get me wrong, I'm not trying to cut anybody off here, but Alex gets verbose. But yeah, the gist of it is that's incredible to me. Well, we pledged.
Nobody paid a cent for it. They just convinced these people to.
Yeah. Yeah. We're pledging our award from Alex. That award is on appeal, folks. You don't have anything to pledge.
That's going to be tied up for years. And you're probably not. It's probably going to be reduced, and you're probably not going to get it.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. Oh, my God. Yeah, and there are 89 Sandy Hook families sharing $85 million so far. So what is that, about $9 million apiece? Mm-hmm. That's crazy. Just crazy. And here's something that a lot of people don't remember about this. Alex offered him a settlement of I think it was $70 million or something like that. We're not going to take it. We're not taking it. Well, all right, I'll offer you $80 million. Nope, not going to take it. Alex kept going up the line with this, and they said, nope. We want him off the air. That's what the lawyers came out and said. We want him off the air. That's what all this is about, pure and simple.
Free speech. It's a free speech. It's trying to throttle free speech.
Yep.
Because if they had taken that $70 million after the lawyers' fees, they would have all gotten over $1 million each.
Easily. No, lawyers said no. Not that I think it's going to happen to him, but I think Robert Barnes has suggested this. If there were there is a fair God. Let's put it this way: if there were a fair bar in the state of Connecticut, these lawyers ought to be brought up in front of it for maltreatment of their client. Mm. Absolutely, they should. Just totally ridiculous. Yeah, exactly. You cannot pledge money and not pay. You cannot have a secret bid. You're supposed to be having an auction. It's just unbelievable. This is, I got a feeling somebody's going to get their butt ripped come Monday.
Somebody's going to lose their job.
As well they should. Unbelievable. But, so much for open-mindedness and tolerance and wanting to have a conversation with people that you don't agree with. Unbelievable. All right, dear. Well, what else is on the menu for the night? Any
that's all I had. Just that's the last of my topics.
Okay. Well, yeah, I'm sort of the same way, and I tell you what, we're going on 2 hours right now, so let's bring this train into the station. Folks, this has been Chattin on the Porch. My name is Brian Trippett on the Front Porch Conservative, and this wonderful lady right over here is Tracy Barkley from Gen X Marks the Spot. Tracy, tell everybody where they can find you on social media, and what do you got cooking?
You can find me right here on YouTube. If you're on YouTube at Gen X Marks the Spot, you can find me on X/Twitter. And I talk about true crime, horror movies, dark history, and a little bit of Gen X nostalgia.
Yep.
And some politics.
There you go. And my name is Brian Trippett. I am the Front Porch Conservative. I've got channels on Rumble and YouTube. If you're not subscribed to my channel, please consider doing so. You can also find me on Twitter at the Front Porch C1. Thank Tracy. Listen to this. She just fallen in love with our accents. Isn't that awesome? Yay! You can find me on Twitter at the Front Porch C1. I will be back this weekend. I'm going to make a very slight change. I'm going to be doing Front Porch Brunch on Sunday morning at 10:30 a.m. I may roll it back a little bit earlier even than that. But yeah, we're going to do a slight change. We're going to do Front Porch Brunch on Sunday morning. And for the benefit of y'all who visit the Lord's house on Sundays, I will consider rolling it back a little bit earlier to make it easier for you and not get you in conflict with the Almighty. So with that, Tracy, hang on for a second. We'll say some goodbyes in the backstage. Thank you guys so much for being here. Genuinely do appreciate it. Love you guys very much, and we will catch up with you soon. Have a great night, and remember, faster horses, younger lovers, older whiskey, more money. We'll catch you guys later. Be good.